cool in the comments, but they mentioned something that scales. The problem with scales is that they sound like scales. That's true if you're playing scales and that's all you're ever playing. Like if you just play a major in E, and then like I did a gallop video I put out today, so it's that's just going through the scale. So of course that will sound like a scale. But then with that gallop, to put it in practice, you use Iron Maiden with the Trooper, like that song is in E minor. Whether you want it to be or not, that's exactly what it is. So from E minor, we're gonna go down here to D, would be the next note. The mode for that is gonna be Lydian, because it's the one, you have minor, Aeolian, and then Lydian. The way that song works is it literally goes those notes, that's the third and the fourth of Mixolydian. So from the start of minor, then you're going down here to Lydian. And the only reason I'm like shredding that is so you get the tonality in your ear. So as I buzz it. And then you keep going down the modes, which would be Phrygian, and then Dorian, and then all of a sudden you're in G major. Coming from right here with major, all stemmed from the minor scale that was in E, which was the start of the root. So that, all of that knowledge packed in there is out of a simple riff of going down with the gallops too. I hope this is making sense. But the point is, yeah, scales sound like scales, and that's the problem with scales, that they sound that way. That's one way of looking at it, but regardless, you're playing something that's in a scale. Unless you're doing a soundscape or an avant-garde, putting a drill to your pickups, then yeah, but if we're in Western music, the even-tempered system, no matter what you're playing can be classified and organized into a scale. It's just the way we organize the sounds and the tonality of it. That's how you can get something sad and dark and minor, too, all bright. It's all the same thing because it's the relative minor, which I'm going to have a video coming out in a couple days about, so look out for that one. But what you can do is take a riff and figure out what the scale is, because the scale is there. And that's how you can grow as a player, because if you're just playing the part and then you want to move it to another key, you're just moving the pattern. You're going down to A now. But that doesn't change what's the dynamic, what's going on in there. You know you're playing minor, and below minor is Mixolydian. So that would be, it just flows, because it's the actual progression of the modes. And those aren't considered accidentals either, because they're all in the same key, which in this case is A, but we'll jump back up to E. That's Mixolydian, Lydian, Phrygian, and then we're at Dorian with the opens, but Dorian would just be here. And then G major. So to keep doing that over and over again, the only way you would be able to do that is to learn the modes. The way I learned it, and I've put it through other videos that you could check out and just put search for the modes made simple or something like that. I forget what I called it. But you start on C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That's Ionian, which is major. Then you're going to go up to Dorian, just counting the exact same notes again and corresponding with the fretboard. So it would be D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. And then again, so that's Dorian, Phrygian. These are all the fancy names, but it's just the name for the interval. So the first one, Ionian, which is major, the second one, starting on the second scale degree is Dorian. And then third scale degree is Phrygian. And then you have Lydian, Mixolydian for the fifth. Sixth is minor scale, which is Aeolian. Seventh is Locrian, which has that tritone sound to it. Lots of metal bands will use it. They say it's a devil's note and it's banned in certain things. You can go down the rabbit hole with that, and that's kind of bullshit, but it's a cool story, and perception is reality. So if people said it, now it became known as the devil's note. So that's in Locrian. And then you come up to Ionian again, which is major. All scales, and they all stem from just a simple riff that you'll hear anywhere. And a lot of times, I didn't do a study, so I can't say most, but I'll go ahead for argument's sake. Most of the time, a bass line or a riff is written not with the intention of writing, I'm gonna do Aeolian, and then I can't speak for Steve Harris. The guy's unreal, so he might actually be like, yeah, well, then I'm gonna go Mixolydian, and then I'm gonna go Lydian, and then I'm gonna go down to Phrygian, and then Dorian. And that's how you end up with the major from the minor. But when writing it, keep it in mind. That was all from the minor scale. I'm trying to think of other things that would use modes, because everything uses it. It's more of an analysis, because that's what theory is. Theory isn't, I don't know, like when someone shoots a gun, they're not thinking about where the trajectory is going to go. You could plot it, sure, but it's better to take the action, fire that thing off. That's why I think music theory gets gatekept a lot, which I can't stand, because I'm under the impression, I say it all the time in the comments, and I'll say it again here, I like building the plane as we're flying, because if we're just on the ground, we're never going to get off the ground if everything has to be perfect, and we have to fully understand a theory. You can't fully understand a theory. That's why it's called a theory. It's just organizing music. So with that said, get off the ground, start writing, start playing things. Look at a lot of punk songs have diatonic, which is just, and chromatic, meaning it's all just major, it's all tied together. Like Journey to the End of the East Bay, which is, it's all using modes and connecting with passing tones. Because those root notes are C, and then we go G, A, and then F. Which is 1, 5th scale degree, 6th, 4th, which Taylor Swift is in trouble now because she used that in like 20-something songs. Every single punk band is like that meme where they're just like looking around or whatever, because it's used so often. Like Newfound Glory, it's the same thing, hit or miss. Same shit. Yeah, that emoji's perfect. That's how you're laughing for it. Thanks, Dina. That's exactly where it comes from, but it's all the same motion of it. So with that in mind, I don't know how else to beat a dead horse. I'll make a video about that later, where it's how the modes apply. But it's to say that the problem with scales is that they sound like scales. The problem is, if you don't want it to sound like scale, don't play a scale. Arpeggiate, which is just fancy for play something that pick and choose the notes in a scale. So if you're gonna play, I have another video for Despacito, or I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it's a minor. And then whatever the hell it is, I don't even remember it. I'm gonna have to watch these videos and relearn almost everything I play. But the point is, if it's C minor, or C minor chord, and you're gonna play a bass line, you're gonna go 1, 3, 5. And then if we're gonna go to A major, you're just gonna go 1, major third 5, as opposed to 1 flat 3 5. Do it all the time in Latin music and Latin jazz fusion. I'll take a scale, which is harmonic minor, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, major 7, octave. I just love the way it sounds. But I don't just love the, because I can make a riff And the scale, the problem with the scale is that it sounds like a scale would be, well, Crazy Train. But I can make a groove out of it and pick and choose what I want from that scale. Like, right there, I'm only playing in one octave minus the low open here, so just using a scale, and I'm writing a riff out of that. All feel, that's when people are like, oh, scales, there's no feeling with it. That's bullshit, because it's... And you can add anything to it. How you play is not limited by what scale you're playing. The fact that you're playing a scale, and if it sounds automatic, is because you're probably playing automatic. If you go... Sure, right? But it sounds terrible. So if you switch it up, lay back, find a pocket in your own internal metronome, your own clock. And say I just came up with that because it sounded cool. Then I would know. Still, it doesn't change the fact that it's in a harmonic minor. That's the scale it falls into. Then you can get into different scales too, like the Byzantine scale, which is the double harmonic major, which is word salad to describe what's going on. But what it sounds like, it's really dark, but it's a major third. The minor second is really creepy. It's dissonant, pulls your ear in every single which way. So major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor sixth. Again, that wah wah wahs as I call them. It's like we're almost out of tune. And then major seventh, which is also super creepy. And then the octave. So now if I wanted to write a riff on that, I've done it previously, so I'll try to remember it. It's oh, oops. And right there, I'm going back to a regular, a minor seventh instead of, because the seventh's up here, the octave. If that makes any sense. So the riff. Breaking away from scales because they put me in a box and all of this other intellectual conceptualized nonsense, because it's nonsense. If you're thinking and not playing, it's a red flag. A green flag, which is what I look for, because I try not to avoid things, I try to go into the good things. A green flag is, this sounds fucking dope. How can I build on that? That's a cool riff to me. So then of course it's, I like that tension, and then I like the lower part. So does it ascend? Same note, right? Then we can even put octaves. And you start building and building and building. And the way to build is by using a scale. After or before, you already like the way that it sounds, and more importantly, the way it makes you feel. Because really all it is how you're feeling in here, goes up here for editing, comes out of your fingers, and through some weird process of practicing, we're able to explain externally what we feel inside. It's real hippie woo-woo stuff, but it's true. And the only way to do that is through practicing, to get finger dexterity, nice. Finger dexterity, and also training our ear to remember what tone, what color certain scales have. Like the Byzantine scale is pretty unique. I mean, I love it. It's one of my favorite ones, and I keep playing it, kind of going back and forth. I'm not just because when you play that, scales, the problem with scales is they sound like scales. The Mixolydian scale is one of my favorite ones. It's the fifth mode of the modes, going from C or going from major. It's the fifth one. So that would sound like we were just playing with the Iron Maiden riff, which sounds whatever. It's a scale. And it could get boring, and I can see that's frustrating. But when you take it and you pick it apart and write something out of it, especially with repetition, all of a sudden you get an idea of what its color is, what it kind of shade or whatever. And I'm fucking colorblind, so I have no idea about color, but I know what the sonic color is. It's all going home. In this case, home base is going to be D. So what I'm doing here is playing the octave 7 6 5 4, octave 7 6 5 3, octave 7 6 5 2, octave 7 6 5 root, and then I'm playing a double stop, which is just a word for an interval. The interval is a perfect fifth right here, power chord, and then an uglier one too, which would be a augmented fifth, right? Oh no, never mind, minor sixth. Dummy, it's been a while. Like again, progress, not perfection, not just with my booze, but with learning and theory. And then you're gonna come down here, which will be a minor seventh, and then octave. The point is, what I just did there is a perfect example of it. I'm analyzing what I already like the way it sounds. And now looking at, oh shit, what are the intervals? Power chord, lowered, the first part of a power chord, and I'm coming here because that's a minor seventh, and then an octave. I had to come back and think about it because just doing it naturally, it's a push-pull. It holds us back all the time. And it's not saying that theory is bad and ignore it. Lean into it, but don't make it control you. And the better you get, I don't want to say better, but the more you know and the more you go through it. Like I'm currently working on this kind of minor thing. Let's see if I can remember it. Yeah, here. So I wanted to take a C major triad, 1 3 5 1 3 5 1 3 5, and then come up with a classical blues progression. It's the weird shit that'll come to your head because why not? Instead of just doing, because I already got there and I get bouncy with the bass line and it can go any which way. So now I want to do a classical version of it. So I'm going, so 5 3 1 5 3 1 3 5 3 1 3 scale degrees, that is. And then I'm coming up here to 6 6 3 1 3 6 3 1 3, and then from here I'm going up back to 6. So minor triad, augment, or suspended. Again, a little more advanced stuff, but the idea is the same. I'm trying to learn something new, and that's how I write. I write by learning. So, oops. Oops. And that's the main idea. What I'm going to do with it, I have no idea. But I know I want to get that down because there's something in there. And then, so the stutter step. Where I could even do on a guitar. guitar probably. And that's another thing too. Hold on. Like how I just told myself to hold on because I'm in the middle of writing something. It's like two different people in my head. Psycho. That's the other thing. When you write a bass part or you come up with something and you think it'll sound better, I don't have an acoustic up here, but if you think it'll sound better on something else, as I'm looking over here and there's a microphone, if you think it'll sound better on something else, I'm definitely going to try those chords on a guitar because I think there's something there. Thankfully, I'm recording it and I'll be able to watch this later, which is another massive thing I highly recommend. Especially everyone has a smartphone now, so you can record it. You don't have to put it on YouTube. You can. Obviously I don't discourage doing that. I do every single day. But record yourself because you're going to forget a lot of the things. Most of the stuff you've written, or I've written, I should say, I don't remember at all. It used to be back in the day, before 08 and everyone had a smartphone. There goes my emails. As my smartphone is distracting me from being a smartphone. It's insane. It used to be you'd have to record everything, and even then you had like a 2-track or an 8-track, and now I just sound old when things used to cost a nickel. The point is use everything that you have to your advantage. So record whenever you have an idea and just record yourself practicing, because like you're playing that Mixolydian thing, like, oh, I'm playing a Mixolydian scale. What kind of nerd shit is this? But then you start noodling around with it and you come up with actual ways of writing and getting productive with it. And then you just keep going with it. But again, back to that Iron Maiden thing. That right there sounds so cool, but that's because it is all connected by the mode. Especially. And that's how you can start soloing. And I heard recently someone tell me that people only listen to bass when it sounds like a lead guitar. And I instinctively knee-jerk reaction got pissed off at that because they're right. Most people don't care, but they're not right in the sense that it sounds like a lead guitar. It sounds like a lead bass guitar. The word guitar is followed right after in bass guitar. So playing lead bass guitar I keep cursing like crazy. What are those things like normalized lead bass guitar or whatever? Start a campaign or just start doing it by playing that way, because there's no reason you can't. It shouldn't just have to be the backbone all the time. When you're by yourself, you are the backbone. You could branch out to wherever you want to go. Overplaying in a band situation is a whole nother story. I typically am under the shut up and hit the actual, make sure you hit the one, pretty much, the James Brown idea with Bootsy Collins. Always made sure you hit the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Anywhere in between that time, he could do whatever the hell he wanted. I'm not speaking for them. This is all through interviews and everything. He's always like, yeah, that's the key to writing funk is always hit that 1 every single time, no matter what. The rest of it, play whatever you want. That's Bootsy Collins. That's not me. But the idea is have the freedom to do whatever you want. It doesn't matter, especially when you're by yourself. No one's going to tell you to shut up unless you're playing too loud and you live in terrible neighbors. But what am I at? 24, 25 minutes? I think I gotta go. I want to do more live videos because I know that the under 2 minute and the 1 minute bass thing is the whole point of the channel, but it really is for piecemeal stuff. And I love when people leave comments like that thing, like the problem with scales is that they sound like scales, because then I could actually address it. And I gotta say, this whole community has been nothing but amazing. Like, people are freaking great, because now I start saying freaking, people are fucking awesome, because normally you see like trolls and all this stuff. I haven't seen anybody. You guys have been unreal. The audio's low. Someone mentioned that, multiple people, and I'm like, yeah, I'm working on that. I am, but I'm a little clueless, but not really. Basically it's my fault and I gotta figure it out. stuff like that there go the dogs, stuff like that through this community or whatever it is that we have built here and it's growing is amazing. So please keep at it. Keep more opinions better. And if you tell me I sound like shit, go for it too. Just get it all out there because more people can then see that, form their own opinions, answer questions that they would never ask in the first place. And it's just going to a great spot that I never thought would even happen. It's just a fun project that I continue to do. So, with that said, I'm gonna go and have a good weekend. I'll be back tomorrow. Leave it in the comments too if when I should go live. Again, I'm building the plane as I'm flying. I'm living my advice or whatever. So, yeah, I have to figure out how to turn this off. So I'll do that now. You guys are absolutely amazing. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.